Hannah Fidell is the writer and a director of the miniseries A Teacher. I'm at Noble at Gold Derby, and I wanted to start off by asking you, Hannah, what was the biggest lesson you learnt from making A Teacher?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think the biggest lesson was honestly to well, you know what's funny? I don't really have the best answer for that because it felt so much like making a film to me. And yeah, I mean, I was surrounded by like really great people who knew what they were doing and could answer any questions that I had. So I think it would be to really just trust my gut. There were a few times where I felt like maybe we needed an extra day or two and we really could have used it. And then we got it. So it worked out. But yeah, I think it's just continuing to trust gut reactions.
Yeah. Now, you wrote and directed the film A Teacher, which this series is based on. What did you maybe want to say or do through a sort of a season-long television series that you maybe weren't able to do in the feature film?
Yeah, well, the film it's a very small independent film, and it really only covers the the moment in the relationship between the high school teacher and her student right before they're caught. So it doesn't show how the relationship began, and it also doesn't show the consequences afterwards. And with being able to translate it to television, I was able to start at the beginning. I didn't have the time constraint that you have with a feature. And it just allowed me to really explore the character and the consequences in a way that felt necessary.
Mm. The film only came out in 2013, but there's been a lot of conversations about sort of power and abuse and coercion and consent and all these sorts of things since 2013.
Yeah.
I guess, what was it like sort of telling this story in the sort of new context that we're living in today and around the conversations that people are having today?
It felt important at the time and necessary that we got it right. And so we brought in therapists who specialize in male victims of sexual abuse, childhood sexual abuse, to make sure they read all the scripts. We talked with them. Nick Robinson talked with them. And we really just wanted to make sure that we felt like, or I felt, but I know the studio felt this way as well, but I felt like I had a duty to not to just to get the emotional consequences right. And like I just mentioned, the time and the sort of having the canvas of a limited series allowed me to do that.
Mm. what was the most challenging sort of scene for you to write? And also, what was the most challenging scene for you to direct? Was it the same scene or was it two different scenes?
I think the most challenging scene to write, and granted, I had a whole room of writers helping me. I wrote the first 2 episodes and then I wrote the last one. But you know, we broke this story together. So I think the most challenging scene to get right across the board was the scene where Claire confesses to her coworker that she is sleeping with her student. And this is a moment that is so important because it's the first few episodes. The intent was to make the audience complicit in what they're watching, to get them to feel like they, just like Eric, want this relationship to happen, to really feel enamored with the teacher. And that is the moment where we sort of pull the rug out from under the audience and say, no, what you've been watching is very wrong. And we know it. And actually, the show is going to make a major left turn. And we are going to do something radical. And the whole rest of the show is going to be about the consequences. So that scene had to be done with nuance, and it had to feel honest, and both on the page and on the screen.
Yeah. What like obviously that may sort of be the answer to this question as well, but what do you think was sort of what was another really important scene to get right and to like in terms of telling the story?
Yeah. Well, I think the final scene of the show very much so needed to be done correctly, because the final scene is where Eric stands up to Claire and realizes that she will never change, that he sort of has radical acceptance at that moment for what has happened to him, and realizes just how damaged he has been because of their very wrong relationship. And so, yeah, it's I think it was that last scene. It was there's a lot of pressure on the actors. I know that they felt the pressure, but they did such an excellent job to just convey so much, and especially Kate, with that scene in particular. It's so sad because she just will never be able to comprehend what she's done. She will just always live in denial. And to me, that's what makes it so powerful, and really what I was so interested with her character is, like, what are the lies that someone like this tells themselves in order to get through the day? And it so clearly manifests itself in that scene. And finally, Eric can walk away. He says what he has to say, and his life is now his to control. And I think there's a real catharsis to that not many victims are able to get. So yeah.
because of the way sort of the series is structured, where, as you say, there is that real left turn about halfway or just over halfway through the season, like there's a real window into sort of the idea that at times a victim may not know they're a victim at the time that they're a victim. How did you sort of use timing and perspective to tell this story?
I think for me, because through the research that I had done, I had learned that male victims of childhood sexual trauma, it takes them a long time to see themselves as victims or to accept it. And normally it's right around either they're getting married, they're having kids, that sort of the reality sinks in. And so we always knew that we were going to make a radical time jump for the final episode. But I felt like, why stick to a traditional linear structure? Why not move around? Why can't we jump in time to the more important moments, since we're already jumping in time? I felt like the show is not a courtroom drama. I don't need to see the courtroom stuff. And I felt like that would take away from what I was interested in, which is really just the emotional consequences of how they both affected each other's lives in different ways.
Like, I haven't done research, but like just from anecdotally, like knowing friends and stuff, sometimes people don't like sort of they need to be out of a situation before they can see it for what it is, and they like can look back on it and go, oh, like that was pretty bad what I was in. Like that actually has had a real effect on me. What like and I guess what I wanted to ask with that is with the for the audience sort of having like the episodes released over a certain time, I wonder if there's also that sort of experience of being able to go, oh, I'm now looking at an episode I saw a couple of weeks ago in a different light to how I'm seeing it now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was very much, we were really calibrating how we wanted the audience to feel as the show, for every episode, for every scene. And we didn't want to have them feel the same way. We really wanted the audience to sort of question the morality of what they were watching and go through the experience like how Nick Robinson's character Eric does. And part of that is being confused by what they were watching.
Mm. Do you, what, as a director, what sort of scene did you like sort of were you shooting where you were just like, I don't know, maybe even a bit surprised by something one of the actors was giving you?
I don't know if I ever felt surprised because they really stuck to the script.
not much improv on a teacher.
No, there wasn't much improv. I think I was. This doesn't quite answer your question, but
That's okay.
I there's truly nothing better than seeing an actor or actors take the words that you've written and just make it better than you saw in your head. And I felt that way consistently, day in and day out while we were shooting. So, and that, because I'm a director as well as writer on the show, the two sort of go hand in hand. So I was able to write with directing in mind and on the page. So it was very much like the intent, the action, it was all there. It was just a true joy to be able to see it come to life.
Mm. Was there a particularly interesting scene for you to film? Like in terms of the experience of shooting it?
Um, Good question. I mean, particularly interesting experience. And just, we shot it a few years ago, so I'm thinking back on what was the most fun. I think we shot it mostly in Calgary in Canada. But then we went and we did a few days in Austin because the show's set in Austin, Texas. And so we did a lot of exteriors there. And I found that it just being there in Austin really made, it just brought new life to what we were shooting, and it made it feel like, just grounded it in the reality in the world that we were creating. So I kind of think like all the stuff that we shot in Austin, I just had so much fun.
Hannah, to sort of finish off, I want to ask you, like, what, like, would you hope that someone who watches a teacher sort of walks away from that viewing experience having thought or felt or just taken away from it?
I think my goal is that people feel like they have a new understanding of how not only complicated consent can be, but how complicated it can be emotionally to be victimized in such a way, and that men can be victims as well. And also that, I dislike television or films that that feel like candy. I mean, sometimes that's nice, but like I like watching stuff that makes me think and makes me question my beliefs and makes me see the world in a new way. And I hope that this show can do that for other people.
Hannah, thanks so much for talking to us today. People watching this interview can go to goldderby.com where they can make their own award predictions, join our discussions in the forums, and watch other interviews with awards contenders. And Hannah, all the best of luck with the upcoming Emmy Awards for a teacher.
Thanks so much.
No worries. Thank you.